Hi everyone, it's Jeanette here from the Sewing Studio, and today we're doing a little bit more Christmas in July, and what I thought I'd bring to you is this little table runner that I made, and the block's called Mosaic, and it's a really nice quick one. Now I originally made this from a scrap bag that had 2.5-inch strips, and this is a Holly Taylor fabric. I can't remember the name of the range. So I'm recreating this in the latest we've got here, one of the latest, Holly Taylor's, I think it might have been last Christmas, 12 Days. So this one, you can sort of see the colours. Let me just pull some of these in. The colours are a bit more richer than this and really nice and vibrant. So the block we're going to be doing looks like this. Now, you'll also notice in this block, I've switched colourways. So in this one, I've got more green with a little bit of red, and in this one, I've got more red with a little bit of green. So it depends on what balance you've got of lights and darks or different colours in your charm pack as to which is best to use. But I thought I'd do it in reverse for this one. So for each block, what we're going to need are 5 charm squares, 2 of sort of one colour, so that's going to be my green, and then 3 of the red. And then we're also going to need 3 background squares. I've cut this from yardage, and I've cut some of it into 5-inch squares, but some of these I actually find easier to do with a half square triangle ruler. Now I use my folded corner clipper or the Creative Grids half square triangle rulers, but you can do it with 5-inch squares. It's a little bit more fabric waste from that, but I'm going to show you a couple of different methods of doing the half square triangles from this. One using the 5-inch square 4 at a time, and one cutting the half square triangles from the 5-inch squares, and you can sort of see what little bits of fabric are left from that. So in total, like I say, a charm pack, and then you need about 15 inches by width of fabric of background fabric. So for us here in the UK, that would be 1/2 metre. I think you guys in the US, that would be 1/2 yard, wouldn't it? I think that's 18 inches for you guys. So that's all we're going to need. So without further ado, let's get started. And the first thing I'm going to do, let me just put that one aside, is I'm actually going to pair up my charm squares, because if we have a look in this block a little bit more closely, we've got these centre half square triangle blocks are made up of the 2 colours. So we're going to put a green and a red together, and that's going to make those centre half square triangles. So let me just pin those 2 together. And then the other 2 reds and green, we're going to match with one of our background 5-inch squares. Now I've just got a grunge, and this was just a scrap piece I had in my stash, so I can't tell you the name of it, but I just went for something that sort of had a, oh that's a very bent pin, a bit of a contrast. So each of these are going to get squared up with that, and then we're going to be doing the 4 at a time method for half square triangles. Actually, that one, I'll just show you quickly how to do it not 4 at a time. If I was going to use my half square triangle ruler, let's do that one with that actually. So we're going to cut that square in half. So we've got 2 2.5-inch strips. And the same with our charm square. And then I can place one on top of the other. And then I'll just be able to cut my half square triangle. Now I'm using the folded corner clipper because this also cuts half square triangles, but any half square triangle ruler will work. So if we do that and that, and you'll see that's our little bit of excess. Now for me, that's useful because I could turn that into a couple of hexagons, or if you do crumb quilting, they would definitely be big enough pieces for your crumb quilting. So that doesn't go to waste in this method. I'll just do those 2 because I've got some others already pre-made. So just to give you the idea. Oh, that's a needle. And so we're just going to sew those with our normal 1/4 inch to make the half square triangles with that. And with these, I'm going to sew all the way around all 4 edges. Now our half square triangles that we cut, they're all done now. Let me just move that one out of the way for a minute. Now these, we're just going to cut across both diagonals. Need a longer ruler. Just do that one and that one for now. So these now I'm going to take to the iron and press open. Now unless you've got a squaring tool that you need to square these up when they're closed, but you need to square these down to 2.5 inches, but I'm going to take these to the iron and press that open. I've got some others prepared, so I'll leave that one for now. Let's just do these. No, I'm just going to do those for now. Now I need to square these up to 2.5 inches. Now, as I said before, there's a little bit more waste on these, but I mean, you could trim your 5.5 inch squares first, but to be honest, you end up with such a small amount that you can't do much with that anyway. And this does give you a nice precise half square triangle. So we're just going to trim. Now I like to trim all 4 edges unless I've got 2 edges that look really straight. So that's one. And I'm just lining up my 45-degree angle along that seam there, so I know that it's a nice precise half square triangle. Now when I'm making these blocks, I tend to do all the half square triangles, and then I like to sort of mix and match the different combinations into the 3 different blocks. But it's entirely up to you. This also works really well with 2.5 inch strips if you've got that half square triangle ruler. As I said, my original one was made from a scrap bag that had 2.5 inch width strips in it. There we are, so that's those cut. So I've got all the other half square triangles I've made here, so I can sort of do a bit of a mix and match. So I'm just going to grab, we want 4 of the combination where we've got the 2 darks together. So for me, that's my red and greens. Let's do that so they're opposite. And then we're going to put them together. I'm hoping this will all fit under the close-up. Oh, wrong way, Jeanette. It's the red. Going in to the centre. And then this is where having your pattern or your block in front of you really helps, because you've now got to think about making diamonds. So we're going to make a diamond with that green there, and I'm just going to pick some different colours. So I work out from the centre, so that one's going to go there. That's going to go there. Let's put those aside because that's confusing me. Got some more of that. Diamond goes there. And then, nope, Jeanette. Diamond goes there. And then that one goes there. What haven't we used? I think we've used all of that. Let's use that one, and then let's just swap those 2. Oh no, not that one with that one. Let's just leave it like that. Let's not be too fussy. So we're beginning to go out. So now I can fill in with my reds. So once again, the diamonds will follow the ones it's going next to. So that diamond is going that way. So this one. So this, I'm looking, and that's going to go like that. So this one is going to point the same way as that one. So it's going to go like that. And then we're going to use this one, which is going to go like that. And let's put that one so it goes like that. This one, like so, that one, like that. Once you get to the outside bits, it comes together a bit quicker. That one like that, and then one more like that. So that's how it should all look. So you've got your centre square, and then you've got these diamond shapes that all revolve around it. Okay, so I do these exactly the same. We're just going to sew in rows as I do my other blocks. So I'm just going to lay all my right onto left pieces for both columns. So I'll have 2 sets. Now, I think we had a question about how do you make sure you don't turn things around when you take them to the sewing machine, and that is a problem. But there's 2 things. You can either put them on a board, even sort of like a large cutting mat or something. You can buy these design boards that you can put them on, and that just makes sure you keep your pieces together. Or what I do is pin with the pin pointing towards where I need to start sewing my 1/4 of an inch seam. And then as I'm sewing them, I do check and open them back out to look, to keep checking, are they still in the right orientation? But it is always, I think it's why the design boards were originally manufactured, because that is the point where things get turned around as we're moving them to the sewing machine. But at home, I've got a little bit that comes out by the side of me, so I can lay things out there. So I'm not actually moving them very much from place to place. I'm just literally picking them up from the side of me and bringing them forward. But definitely, like I say, you can just use a cutting mat to lay it out on, and then just keep putting your pieces back in position and keep checking that you've got the pattern right. So I hope that helps. But as I said, I've got all my pins here pointing towards the corner. So I'm going to try very carefully now. What I'm actually going to do is put them on this ruler, look, to carry them. And hopefully then I won't turn anything around. Once I get here, I can just slide them off, hopefully not having turned anything. Now I'm actually going to unsnip this in my set of 4. And put them back in the right order. Now I'm going to press all my seams on this top row to the left, and then second row to the right, left, and then right again. This was the first one off that. Now I'm just going to double check against my block, and yes, that looks like that's in the right place. Now, just before I finish sewing those rows, I am just going to lay the block out again and just make sure I haven't got anything turned round. I was checking as I was going, but you don't always spot it as you're working on it, do you? So let's just lay that out, and we've got our block here for reference. Yeah, that's looking right. That's right, because we've got all our reds in the centre. And then that's right, because these shapes here are making our diamonds. So we managed to do that without getting things turned around. So I always at this point do bottom row onto top. So once again, I'm just going to push those seams. Let's say I've pressed them in alternate directions, so that's another bent pin. We need to have another sort out of our pins. And once again, I'm going to do my trick where I'm actually going to put a pin pointing at where I need to start sewing. So bottom onto top. Put a pin there. And point a pin where I need to start sewing. I'm going to take that pin out. That was really just to hold it. And then we can put all of this together now. And there's our block. So I'll take that to the iron and give it a good press. That should come out at 8.5 inches, so 8-inch finished. So I say there was 2.5-inch squares, so they will finish at 2. So I made 3 of those. But of course you can make as many as you like. If you wanted a runner that's a lot longer, you just keep adding blocks. So let's just have a look how I finished those 3 blocks once I've made them. Let's just bring this one in. Move that out of the way. Now I made this specifically for a unit I've got in my lounge, and so I made it specifically this size, but of course you can make it bigger, as I said, you can make it longer, and I've just put narrow borders on it. So these were 2.5-inch strips. This ends up being 12.5 by 33 inches. So these are 2.5-inch strips. So these are cut at 8.5 to fit with the blocks. So I just sashed in between each of the blocks and at either end, and then put 2.5-inch strips, top and bottom, and very quickly sort of made that. But of course you could add more borders and make that bigger if you've got a bigger table you wanted to decorate. It fits really well. Like I say, it's a 12.5, so you need about 1/2 metre of backing fabric for this, and sort of a couple of strips of binding. Should do it, maybe 3, maybe 2.5 to 3 with the fabric strips. So certainly sort of a long quarter of fabric, and you'll have enough for binding. I think this was just a piece of fabric I had in my stash. But it's a really nice, quick and simple one. I quilted it just fairly simply, just with sort of straight lines. But there it is, the Mosaic table runner, perfect for a charm pack, also perfect if you've got scraps that you want to use up, 2.5-inch strips with your half square triangle ruler, and you can make this block. Press towards the dark fabrics on all of this, and most of your seams should come together. The one just to watch is the centre there, but I press my seams in opposite directions in 2 of them. And then I can get those to match. But it is just about sort of getting the layout right and making sure you form those diamonds around that centre square. But it looks really good, scrappy. It's a lot of fun to do and a very quick project. So you've got lots of time. This could be another good Christmas gift. So if you do make this, please do share any of your photos with us on Facebook and Instagram. If you like what we're doing here, please hit the like and subscribe button and share all those good things that help to support us. Thank you for joining us today here for a bit of Christmas in July, and I hope you'll join us again here next time in the sewing studio.